Hello, my name is Osborne, and this is my recording for Lovely Planet All Levels into AGDQ 2025. I'm super excited to be showing this off because it's a indie precision FPS game with a lot of really cool mechanics, a lot of levels that get harder and harder as they progress. And so this is like a game that I've had a lot of fun running. It's a very difficult one. We're going to see all different types of mechanics and enemy types as the level keeps going on. The main mechanic behind each level is that you have to kill every single enemy before moving on to the next. And so with that being said, we're just going to get straight into it. Timing will begin once I load into the first level. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Perfect. All right, so as you can see here, City has a lot of levels in it, but it's very basic mechanics that we're going to be introduced to, such as just shooting, jumping. As you can see, there are these new enemies that we're going to be seeing here. There are two enemy types, these thin enemies that just stand there, they don't do anything, and then the block enemies that will shoot back at you. Now, the thing is with these block enemies, you can shoot their bullets or you can shoot them. Either one of them will kill them if you intersect their bullet with yours. We also make use of a lot of the level geometry. As you can see here, we're going to be going on top of a lot of the level instead of like actually moving through the level, because that allows us to do a lot of really cool skips. As you can see, all of the hills are kind of made out of these triangles, and when you see a triangle that's like going upwards, that's how you know you can like stand on it and it'll allow you to climb up. And so on these particular sets of levels, that geometry is very like noticeable. In that level, you can see that the bullets intersected each other by the enemies shooting each other's bullets instead of us having to deal with it. A very nice time save, and also just the easiest level in the game because you don't have to do anything. You can just go straight to the end. But as you can see here, we're already doing a lot of different skips, whether it's like going behind the level geometry in order to like just skip a lot of platforming, or going on top of the level geometry. Right here is a really cool set of movement right there in order to kill the enemies and then go on top of the fence. You can jump on top of the fence instead in order to just jump all across the level in order to skip all of the actual maze or puzzle solving there. Alright, then as you can see there, another really cool skip just going behind level geometry instead of actually going through the level. You're going to be seeing a lot of that. Already we've seen mountains of it in the levels alone. One thing that's really difficult about this game, of course, is just the aiming, because you can see there's no crosshair. Thankfully, in the rules, we are allowed to use external softwares for crosshairs, and I do use one. But there are runners who like don't use the crosshairs at all, and how they manage to do that, I will never not be amazed by it. As you can see there, we were barely able to make it so that we can skip a lot of level there by getting onto that hill by jumping off of that fence. That's a very tight jump, tighter than it might seem. And so right here, we're actually going to be skipping those platforms that we're going to be seeing on the left side right here by just going over these hills, shooting that guy in the distance underneath the tent, and shooting that guy as we finish the level. So in this level, as you can see, we're also making use of these fences, going over here to this area that you're definitely not supposed to go to, and then jumping over here towards the end instead. Beautiful. And this is the last level of World 1. As you can see, it's already gone very quickly. World 1 is probably the shortest. It has the least. It doesn't have the least amount of levels, but it's the shortest just because all the levels are really short. So now we're going to go into Village, and City introduced this mechanic, but Village really extrapolates on it and uses it a lot, which is the mechanics of the apples. And so the apples are, you probably saw a sign at the beginning of the first level in Village where it said no littering. And so if you let the apples like fall on the floor after they get launched out of their pedestals, boom, you will have to start the level over. That will kill you. As you can see here, we're going to be using that fence to go over the tent instead of having to go through all of that level there on the right, and skipping a good portion of the level, portion of the platforming, and then ending the level up here, making sure that we shoot that before we finish, because it will end up falling before you hit the end level pole. I really like this level because it, like, at the very end here, you can see if you shoot any of the blue guys, which is the citizens, you will die. And that includes any of the bullets that come from enemies. If the enemies accidentally shoot the citizens, then or civilians, I should say, you will end up dying there. And so that last level was like really close. And as you can see here, there's a really cool skip here. It's a really difficult skip to like, because all the level geometry is like really slippery sometimes. And so being able to do that even first try is like absolutely beautiful. We're also going to introduce like these flying enemies in this level. As you can see, after we do the skip in this level, we introduced to the flying enemies with the hats. And so in that particular case, if you shoot the enemy's hat instead of the enemy itself, it's not going to work. They won't die. It's kind of used as a bit of protection here. I wish I could explain every single skip in detail, but like there's so many that happens throughout the run. That kind of all take advantage of all the level geometry and the way that the game structures their levels. And so right here, we're just going to be going straight here. We're going to be going up on this hill while shooting that apple. I like to spam for the apples sometimes, because since they're moving objects, sometimes it's really hard to get your aim down precisely. We're going to be shooting that guy way in the distance because we need to kill him first. If you don't, like, you can end up killing these guys and then forgetting to kill that guy. You don't want to jump there, because if you jump, the enemy will actually end up shooting the civilian, because it sees you and then shoots a bullet and then shoots the enemy civilian in the back. So right here, we're going to do a nice skip. You want to wait a little bit to make sure that apple actually ends up getting destroyed, because otherwise it's just going to be otherwise it's going to fall, because that the movement of that's actually a lot more precise than you think it is. Weirdly, all of the bullets went around that particular apple, which is really funny to me. As you can see here, more skips to be done in this level. This level is particularly tricky because there's only one enemy there, and then there's one apple here, and the timing is like really precise, and so you have to get to the end of the level and shoot that apple before it hits, but it ends up like falling the moment you load into the level. I love this skip right here, being able to just skip pretty much over half the level right there by using that hill on the right. This one has a really satisfying movement by just being able to, instead of all of that right there, we're just gonna be skipping across through these hills, and we didn't hit any of the triggers for any of the apples, and so as long as the apples aren't touching the floor by the time that the level ends, you can just finish the level. You don't actually have to like take out all of the apples. So right here, very simple level, very nice skip that we saw there, walking across a sword. That's very clever. This level is also really satisfying. The best thing about this game, and the thing you're going to be seeing me say the most, is that like when you do these levels right, they are like some of the most satisfying things, I will say. In this level, it's a very long level. This is like a 24-second level, and that's very long for this game standards. And so as you can see, there's a lot of apples that I again tend to spam for, because since I'm shooting from very far away and the apples are moving, it's very hard to have like really precise aim, which sucks because like in 100%, the requirements for that is to have 100% accuracy, and so every single bullet that you shoot has to hit something. And so, but thankfully, like in all levels, you just have like lead on levels, and like that's not thing we have to worry about. Like that one I enjoy spamming because it just I am moving and also the apple is, and so it's just really difficult to keep that precise and have that be just one shot. This is another level where it's really beneficial to just spam, because there's 3 moving apples, and also you move up so you can shoot that enemy that's underneath the tent as you move up, and so which is not like the intended way of beating that at all, I will say. So now we're in Forest, which is World 3. It has, in my opinion, the best music. And also, we get introduced to a new enemy, which is these enemies with hats on them. These particular enemies will actually have homing bullets. And so wherever you go, the bullets will follow you. And the thing about this one is that if you shoot the bullets, unlike the regular enemies, the enemies with hats, if you shoot their bullets, they will not die. You have to shoot the enemy itself. And thankfully in this next level, there's a lot of them, and so that really showcases that mechanic, but also there's a lot of really cool skips that we get to do in the process. That's a really satisfying skip, and a series of enemy points right there that we're going to be grabbing. And so right there, we can just do this huge skip by going onto that hill and going over that tent instead. This is a very short level, but it's very nice to do, especially because it's scary, because you never know if that bullet is going to hit the wall or is going to hit you, and so sometimes you want to spam, but you have to like resist the urge to spam sometimes. And that's one thing that I really limit when I spam, and usually only dedicate it to like apples or moving objects. we're going to be using, again, the scroll right there, and then that hill in order to shoot both of those enemies with hats right there at the very end. Very nice level. This one, I love this skip. I tend to spam that guy over there because sometimes his bullets, like I shoot him, but I don't shoot his bullet, which is weird because the bullet is coming straight towards me. But then so sometimes I like to spam and that mediates it. And so it doesn't lose too much time to like make sure that the enemy is dead, which is something that I tend to do. So with that being said, we're just gonna go straight through here. And we're gonna finish the level. That one's just done normally, really. I do like this one because there's a lot of enemies that you shoot from a huge distance, and you want to get rid of that particular like red blob. These red blobs on the floor, if you touch them, they will essentially like just send you back to the beginning of the level. Anything that's like red in this game, just don't touch, whatever you do. I'm gonna get all of these enemies from up here, which is very nice. Yeah, worlds 1 through 3 in this PB are like amazing. And honestly, World 4 as well. And so we're going to be going through here, and we can barely just skip having to go through that wall by going through the fence instead. But you also have to be like really quick because like in the moment that the enemies see you, they'll start shooting at you. And when you're really close to them, sometimes you have to be like really quick with the reactions in order to make sure that they're dead and they don't shoot you with their bullets, especially the ones with homing bullets. I love that skip so much, I will say. There is a small skip in this level, but it's mainly just making sure that that first enemy is dead. That one is a lot harder than it seems, especially because you're moving and you have to keep moving on. Okay, we're going to use the skip right here. Yeah, that skip is a very difficult one to do, especially if you accidentally spam through that enemy right there. And so, as a safety, we're just going to be going there instead. But you can see that skip would have landed us right there towards the pole instead. A small time loss, but it's perfectly fine. We're still pretty ahead. And so right here, we're just going to be doing the level as normal. And then in this level, you need to shoot that guy multiple times because like the enemies that will home bullets at you, they will like shoot one bullet like every few seconds, and no matter what distance you are away from them, unlike the regular enemies that if you get too close to them they will not shoot you. And so I love the movement in that level so much. I love the movement in this level too. So we're gonna be shooting that enemy right there, and you do this level pretty much as intended. But the thing about this game, it's I like to compare it to Celeste, where it's just like doing the game normally but fast looks impressive because this game is like a naturally really difficult game. And so, that being said, we're just going to go straight through here. We're going to do a small skip here at the end. It's not too difficult. One thing that is a little difficult is having to time when you shoot this bullet, because you want to like turn the corner, but then like the enemy notices you before you fully turn the corner, and so you want to be able to like shoot the bullet as you're in midair. So, right here is a very nice level. This is another level that we do mostly as intended. We do like cut some corners, but it's another like intended one. And so we're gonna be shooting like this is like the corner that we cut really pretty much. Oh, that is yeah, that's a pretty hard section to do, and I absolutely like hate it when that happens. When you like lose time to like something like that you like never really lost time towards before. And so we're just gonna be keeping on here. Thankfully we got it the second time. And so then we're gonna go through here, and we're just gonna be shooting this enemy. This is another one that's pretty much done as intended, and especially at the end of the level where it's like really easy to lose time because some of these bullets can get towards you really really close. The homing bullets are like menaces, I will say, because every time that you think you're gonna shoot them, sometimes it doesn't really work out the way you intended. Especially that movement at the end there, I haven't always perfected or mastered that movement because sometimes you don't really know what to shoot first. This level is really satisfying. These are the last two levels of World 3 right here. That really satisfying movement too. They have similar like routes. I always like pair them together in my head, including this one right here. This is another one that we do mostly the intended strats for, cutting some corners, but making sure that like we don't over spam, because usually when there's like an enemy, there's also a civilian next to it, and so like the game kind of punishes you for spamming too much by accidentally like hitting a civilian instead. Okay, so now we're at Swamp. swamp. It's a very foggy swamp, and they introduce you to a new mechanic, which is like these bullets that just come out of the fog. They are not shot by any enemy. There's no enemy there. They just come out of nowhere. They just spawn in and then go at you. You need to hit specific triggers in order for them to activate, and so sometimes we'll do like a skip that will prevent those triggers from happening, but for the most part you need to like be careful for them. We're gonna go through here, and as you can see here, there's a trigger right there that we could have skipped, but it tends to be like really finicky movement, and so I don't go for it. But right there, this entire level is just done as intended, but it's really impressive to look at because it's just so precise. Almost missing that apple, but accidentally missing that, accidentally shooting that platform right there, and that's like thing that happens sometimes when you spam a little bit too much, is that you end up like getting rid of the blue platforms. The blue platforms, you can shoot them to like get rid of them, but they're meant for you to like stand on because they're safe platforms. Okay, so after third try, we can just go through here. And this level, it's weird because like you can hear the sound of like an apple being launched into the air before you actually see it happening, and so you want to be very careful with that, because that's the reason why like you spam a little bit, because like in this level you can just go straight towards it and you don't like generally where the apple is, and you can just spam in its direction. And that level is really satisfying as well. As you can see, this is another example of that. You heard the sound of the apple, and then you shoot it before it happens. And like that as well. That is a really difficult level. I'm very proud that I got that first try here. And got a gold. Nice. And so, right here, this level is another one that's kind of done as intended. It's really difficult to be going through here with all of these homing bullets, especially when they're all in really close proximity with each other. The levels are like close quarters, like tight corners to turn while there are homing bullets coming at you. It's really difficult, and in addition to like all of the apples you need to make sure that don't fall. These are like a bunch of bullets that come at you in quick succession. It's weird because when you play this casually, it feels like it goes like really fast, and it does. But as you like get better at the game during the speedrun, you realize like you really have a good measure for how much time you really have when it comes to how far the bullets come at you. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that like the way that the shooting of the bullets works is that it doesn't come out like out of your screen into the center. It comes out of the gun, and so everything you shoot is gonna be like at a slight angle, and like that in addition to all of the bullets coming out at an angle with there being no crosshair, is like a really difficult thing to improve at, and thankfully like of course you mediate that through the usage of crosshairs, and so. But even then, like sometimes when something is like far away, you have to aim the crosshair a little bit to the left so that it comes out of your gun that's coming a little bit from the right. And so that's something that you just have to keep in mind, but it's still nice to have the crosshair for a point of reference. As you can see right there, there's a lot of like strats that we incorporate, like lineups that we do and make sure that when we teleport, we're shooting the right thing, because sometimes an apple or an enemy will start activating before we go through the teleporter. And one thing right here, another mechanic we have here is like the force fields, or like the fields that will kill you if you like stay in them for too long. And so you want to make sure that you're out of them really quickly. And so in these last like few levels in this world, it kind of punishes you for like just staying still. Which is very smart, honestly, especially when it's a game that you're meant to like continuously move forwards, and that's like meant to be hard and difficult. So we're nearing the end of Swamp here. We have an apple that we shot in the distance because we were supposed to shoot 2 bullets when we killed one of those enemies, so the second bullet goes past it and shoots the apple instead. Very nice movement there, especially that one skip to go up onto the final platform where the finish where the end level pole is. That's really difficult to pull off. This level is just a duplicate of another level, but it's harder because it has fog and it has bullets coming at you. Alright, and this is the last level of Swamp. It's a very nice level. We're gonna be shooting that apple right before it lands, before you even see it. That's like one thing that you have to keep in mind. Okay, now we're at Mountain. Like then Mountain is a very difficult level. Even though it only has 15, it has like the least amount of levels out of any of the worlds, but it has some of the longest levels, and it has definitely the objectively most difficult levels, of course, because it's the last level of the game. And so it introduces a new mechanic known as like the civilians that will just shoot at you for some reason. As you can see, sometimes there are civilians that will just like to shoot at you. Right there, we took use of a glitch where we shoot a civilian and then end the level, because the game doesn't track if you killed all of the enemies. It just tracks if you killed enough enemies. So we kill all but one enemy, and then we kill a civilian, and so the game will see, oh, well, you've killed like the right number of things. Certainly you must have killed all the enemies. And so when you kill an enemy and then immediately exit the level before the game is just like, oh no, you killed the civilian, you can just skip it that way. And that's a very nice glitch. So you could incorporate in a few other places. We're going to incorporate into one more place where you shoot a civilian instead of an enemy and then end the level immediately. This level has a very precise lineup, because you have 3 bullets coming at you all at once. And so it's very difficult to line up. And so right here, this is another really cool trick that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be shooting this guy right here that teleports us up, and then boom, the moment that we get teleported up, we have to immediately shoot forward, because that guy will just shoot a bullet at us. And so as you can see there's also these civilians that you can shoot, these thin civilians that will act as like just teleporters, like so. And also the ice. The ice is a very hard mechanic to deal with, because you can stay frozen. If you stay frozen on like a slope, sometimes you slip down the slope, and so but for the most part, it can actually be a little bit beneficial, so you don't have to like constantly be moving. But when you need to be moving, it's like it can be pretty detrimental to the run sometimes. And so we're going to be shooting that teleporter in the distance, and then we're going to be going over here. We're going to be shooting each of these enemies, making sure that their bullets do not hit us. You want to aim for like mostly their bullets, because that way you can like have a closer frame of reference towards them. And we're going to be shooting these 3 bullets right here. This is like a really difficult series of shots to make, because the moment that you teleport in, you have 3 bullets all coming at you. Technically 4, but 3 of them home at you, so you have to shoot them. The 4th one you just get out of the way for. Right here is another pretty difficult one. We're going to shoot that teleporter in the distance over there, that guy who will teleport us here, and then we're able to shoot both of those apples, one before we get into the level, before we get teleported, and one after we get teleported. And the rest of the level you kind of just play as normal. We're going to teleport up to this guy and then shoot we teleport up to this guy, and we're going to shoot the bullet that comes at us, and then we're going to be killing that enemy, but then immediately turning around, because the moment that we get up there, the apple falls up and down. That's a really quick movement right there. Getting it first try is the most satisfying thing in the world. And so right here, we're just going to be shooting. This is also like objectively, I'd say, the hardest level of the whole game. And the fact that we got it first try, because it teleports you to like 2 different places. You have to shoot all the enemies before you teleport, and then do it again in the next area. And so right here, we do have some difficulty at this level, but it is the last level where we get into like the final like just level that's just walking straight through. And so we're able to do this. I have a few skips here. We do, I think, fail the first time for this skip at the end, because we accidentally miss it. As you can see, the auto splitter will not split unless you actually perform that correctly. And so right here, we're just gonna be going straight through, and at the end, we're gonna be making use of that exact same glitch that I mentioned before, where it's like shooting the civilian instead of the last enemy. So we can just shoot this guy, and then by the time the bullets reach him, we're going to be able to quickly exit the level right thereafter. So with that being said, that is Lovely Planet. This last level is just like a small walk towards the very last area. And so like 3, 2, 1, time. That's it. All right. So with that being said, that is Lovely Planet, all levels. This is a very satisfying speedrun. One is very, very nice to do quickly. A very difficult speedrun, I will say. It's incredibly difficult. And so I'm I'd be very honored to have him show this off, especially because it hadn't been shown off in quite literally almost a decade. And so I am super excited to see how it all turns out. If you enjoyed, I would love your consideration for the event. And I'm hoping you have a wonderful day, whoever's watching this. But yeah, that is Lovely Planet all levels. I've been Osborne, and I will see you around. Bye.